Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So this is session 7 of the Rains Retreat 2025. And the theme today is right mindfulness or attentiveness. As I already introduced it, this development of mindfulness is very, very important. It's be a very unique contribution the Buddha gave to the whole theme of spiritual development. It's not very often as mentioned in other systems of spiritual training, but the Buddha gave it primary interest, I would say, because this is a basis of wisdom. The Buddha emphasized wisdom very much. Wisdom was the way to liberation, not so devotional practices to realize, some creator God or something. So many times, at least in the forest tradition, they talk about this sati panya. This is mindfulness wisdom, the wisdom that comes from direct experience, and not intellectual knowledge, not kind of just from the scriptures, but direct knowing, which is what mindfulness is trying to do. Try to give us the direct experience of particular themes, and the Buddha gives us with this teaching, he tells us how to contemplate and what to contemplate. And we can contemplate a great variety of things like many religions are theistic based, so they contemplate the existence of some supreme power. But the Buddha realized this was not that useful. He didn't condemn it so much as just kind of make a bit of fun of it. Saying that how do we know what this creator God, what this creator force is really? But what we can know is what's in this mind and body. We can't be aware of that directly. So the Buddha pointed to these four main themes: the body, feelings, states of mind, and a group of themes called Dhammas, which are partly Buddhist teachings, partly just the emphasis upon the different structure of mind, grouped into categories of what hinders the mind and what develops the mind. So there is quite a bit of, in this one discourse, the discourse on the development of mindfulness. There's a lot of information there. I was just thinking the other day that some of us could probably spend our whole life just studying this one discourse. If we practice it, and the Buddha made very, very, he praised it very much. Like this is the direct path to awakening. And if we can practice this, I would say diligently, for as little as 7 days, we can be enlightened. Anybody feel tempted? Some grand praise of it. Of course, even with this grand praise, when you try to practice it, maybe you realize it is a little bit more more complex than it first appears. Even just the instructions, these 4 different themes broken down to sub-themes, just reflecting that probably there's hundreds of meditations there. Just in the meditation on breathing, for example, very first exercise, 4 different ways to observe the breathing, then internally, externally, both internally, externally, and then arising and fading away, and both arising, fading away, and just practicing just well enough for mindfulness and clear knowing. So 7 different meditations for each of those. 7 times 4, 28 meditations just in the first exercise. Not to mention the rest of them. But don't feel daunted. Some teachers, the general impression is that if you follow one of these exercises right to the very end, practicing diligently right to the very end, you could be enlightened at the first level, stream entry. It seems that the way the scripture is put, to realize full awakening, one has to practice all of them. but just even practicing one to its extreme, to its final completion, could guarantee at least the first stage of awakening anyway. So we covered the first exercises in body, and I just mentioned in brief the other exercise with feelings, states of mind, and the Dhammas. So because now we're on the seventh, what is now? It's already over halfway through the reigns. So hopefully your mind is stable enough, and we've established right view and enough stability and morality. Now we can begin the practice of the contemplation. This is what the Buddha is talking about. Mindfulness is contemplation, anupassana, contemplating the body, the feelings, the states of mind, and the Dhammas. So these are very, very, very powerful themes, and very, very influential, because they are the fundamental aspect of our being. Body. How many of us are really aware of the body? Really know the body as it really is? Most of us, it's still just a concept in our mind. Feelings. Do we know what feelings are? I mean, feelings, in the Buddhist sense, we have to be careful the definition here, because a little bit of a clash with English, because for most people, feeling means emotion. But in Buddhism, it's not emotion. Emotion is states of mind. The feeling is the very, very basis of the emotions. The hedonic tone, the kind of feeling tone, I should say, maybe sometimes rather than feelings, but the feeling tone, just whether it is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. But this is very important, because every sentient being has feeling, and from the feelings, then one acts. If I was to be very simplistic, maybe, to say that human beings, in a very, very simple statement, the whole purpose of our life is to get away from unpleasant feeling, to achieve and maintain pleasant feeling, and just ignore neutral feeling. That's the human being in one statement. And we think we're so intelligent, and we're just victims of feeling. How do we feel? And then from there, from the feelings, though, that's when the emotions start to build up. And then, as part of the, you could say, perceptual process from feeling, then there is some kind of acknowledgement, and then we start to react to it. Reactions kick in: greed, aversion, delusion, and then we get all spun around and try to deal with these emotions, and then forget it's only a feeling. Aha! So first of all, the exercise is first of all to be aware of feelings, to bring our attentiveness, bring our clear knowing to feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And then the Buddha, first of all, is this pointing out these three basic feelings, and then the Buddha suggests to try to observe them in terms of, you say, more an ethical perspective, worldly feelings and spiritual feelings. This is where, in a way, the emphasis in same as skillful and unskillful in the previous themes. Right effort. Right effort is to increase the skillful, decrease the unskillful. So here, when you come aware of the feelings, you notice there are some of the feelings are based on just worldly foundations. Sensory stimulation. Let's say it's just a worldly feeling. Where there are spiritual feelings also. The Buddha was quite, I would say, not radical, but he was very brilliant in his insight about feelings, because he recognized that human beings are feeling animals. So we need feeling, and we need pleasant feeling. In the Buddhist time, the prevailing idea was that pleasant feelings were dangerous, that you can get attracted to them, and that so one should practice self-mortification to deny oneself pleasant feelings. The Buddha said it doesn't quite work. You deny yourself pleasant feelings, then you're stuck with unpleasant feelings, right? There's always a feeling. It's either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Yeah. Always a feeling, always a feeling. When there's consciousness, whenever you're conscious, there's a feeling there. At some level, at a very, very, most of it's very fundamental level. But there's a feeling there all the time. It's sort of non-personal. It's just functional. As soon as you have consciousness of something, consciousness of this clock here, there's a feeling there about it. Yeah, it's mostly, depends what time it is, mind you, but pleasant or unpleasant, or neutral. Mostly it's neutral. But, unless it was a very attractive clock, I don't know, with diamonds on it or something, even that wouldn't be attractive, would it? Kitsch. But anyway. But the important part of this is that, you can say there's kind of like a development of mindfulness. So, the body is more stable, so in general it's easier to observe the body. Now we come to the mind, feelings. Feelings are in the mind. These feelings, now it's getting a little bit more subtle. And if we bring awareness to the feelings now, it's like we're opening up this awareness of different, how the mind is reacting, how the mind is responding to situations. And in the mind, where, of course, there's craving in the mind. Craving, ignorance, greed, aversion, delusion, they're all in the mind. They aren't in the body. The body responds to them. There is a reaction in the body, but they happen in the mind. And it's only by observing them, how these arise in the mind and how we can free ourselves from them, that liberation happens. So bring awareness to feelings. First of all, these pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, and at the very beginning you could use this, and some definitions of feelings, it goes back to the body, to sensation, to the senses, you can say. Other times, Buddhist points out, they rise from any of the senses, the eye, physical eye, as well as the mind, your mind contacts, your thoughts and your ideas and things. And is from feelings, we can say that there's the causality, the causal sequences. Before feeling happens, there is contact, which is consciousness. You're aware of something. You're conscious of something. You know something. You have a visual impression of something. Then there is feeling, and then it could give rise to craving. There's three different, basically three basic, what they call anusayas, which are the underlying dispositions. So when something is pleasant, there's a pleasant feeling arises. There's a big tendency to lust or greed for it, to keep it, to hold on to it. When there is unpleasant feeling, there is a tendency for aversion to arise. And when there is just a neutral feeling, the general impression is it's ignorance. Hard to notice pleasant neutral feeling, isn't it? If you notice, when you be aware of feelings, you don't notice any feeling at all, it's neutral. If it's not pleasant, it's not unpleasant, it's neutral. That's how you can tell. And many things arise out of feeling, because not only craving, but then from craving it goes on to our what to do with it, our thinking about it, our trying to figure it out, our reacting to it. So it becomes sankharas, becomes views and opinions. It becomes, can we say, another word is elaboration. And if you can understand this whole process, feeling gives rise to craving, gives rise to thinking, gives rise to elaboration. You can be out in elaboration somewhere and just say, oh, it's just the feeling. The feeling is underneath it. Yeah. I mean, you have to have a clear awareness of these feelings, because when you're off in the reaction, much of that reaction is very, very powerful, very, very energized. So, for example, sometimes, if you notice you're angry, just remember, anger rather than fight with the anger or, react to it somehow, just think, it's just an unpleasant feeling. Huh? Unpleasant feeling is the cause of anger. And if you're observing the feelings, just as they arise, generally it's easier to observe them when not too reactive. But if you're observing feelings, you notice how insubstantial they are. Feeling in just few minutes, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Here's unpleasant. I was sweating here a minute ago, and the cool breeze blows in. Pleasant, unpleasant, pleasant, unpleasant. Just like that. So, when you see how unreliable, impermanent, insubstantial, unreliable these feelings are, and then you build all this edifice of greed, aversion, delusion upon them, whew, it's crazy, isn't it? It's building your house on the sand. The tide's just coming in now. No. There's a simile in the scriptures about the feelings being just like the various breezes that blow. Here's a nice, beautiful breeze here now. Feel that? Yeah. Pleasant feeling just blew in. The pleasant feeling stops, and then the unpleasant sweat comes in. Heat comes in. And the Buddha had a very, maybe you can say, radical view about pleasant feeling, because the Buddha recognized, he accepted that, pleasant feelings were gratifying. They gratify us. Because feelings are always changing, they're not totally satisfying. They're going to disappoint us eventually. Yeah. But he realized that they do they do play a very important part in our psychology. If you do feel pleasant, doesn't your mind feel calm and relaxed? If your mind if you can just see it in the course of one sitting maybe, when you first come in and sit down, pleasant to sit. Let the mind calm down. After, 20 minutes, an hour, my throbbing knee, And what happens to your mind? If you're in pain, what happens to your mind? Is your mind peaceful?
No,
Yeah, but when it's unpleasant, it stirs up the mind, reactions. But when the mind is peaceful, it has a pleasant feeling, then it is peaceful. And so the Buddha raised this spiritual pleasant feeling, piti, sukha, into a spiritual power. It was one of the 7 factors of awakening, joy. But it's a different kind. It's not the pleasant feeling based on just sensory stimulation. It's based on, you can say, meditation practice. It's one of the factors that lead to absorption, collectedness, absorption. Is piti, is a joy, uplift and joy. A different kind of well-being, if you like. Piti sukha. I would translate sukha there as well-being, in its widest sense. So feeling, once we become, generally again, there is a kind of a progression of development of mindfulness. Then we come to, after the feelings, the states of mind. So, sometimes maybe, mindfulness isn't strong enough. What you're aware of more is a state of mind. So you can follow it back, maybe. So the third theme is states of mind. And the Buddha just mentions 16 states of mind. Just, I would say, giving a general impression of different kinds of states of mind. But, there are actually, I've noticed thousands of states of mind. Thousands, literally. But, it's sometimes very hard to distinguish or differentiate a state of mind. It's not like it's it's like a Australian state, right? The border right here, you see. There's a big sign when you cross from New South Wales to Queensland, But, a state of mind, mentally, hard to determine sometimes where the boundary is, isn't it? But just to give you some overall impressions, first of all, I actually have crossed the border to Queensland, but in general, I don't go there every day, so I know it's up there somewhere, north. Just a general impression. Say. So the Buddha gives these examples of states of mind, and there's you can say there's four. There's two sets of four, I guess, 16 altogether. Oh no, two sets of four. So there is certain state of mind, and then it's opposite. So amazingly, the first states of mind the Buddha suggests us to be aware of, be mindful of, are lust, anger, and delusion. Bit of a shocker, isn't it? Well, you already developed some joy, right? Spiritual well-being, spiritual happiness. So then you come to this, lust. Maybe you've noticed, you've been aware of pleasant feeling. You may have noticed how it goes into lust sometimes, or greed, or aversion, or unpleasant feeling goes into aversion. So bring awareness to it directly. And we know that it's underneath it are these feelings. So it's the first three are greed, aversion, delusion, and then non-greed, non-aversion, non-delusion. And then there's another one which is sort of like also you can say a bit of a distraction. It's called a distracted state of mind. Distracted and contracted. We'll come across these again probably when we get to the hindrances again. But just giving you, just in general, a distracted state of mind, what's that? Do you know what a distracted mind is? Yeah, I do. Contracted state of mind. Distracted is your mind's really spread out. You're just thinking too much and your mind's all over the place. And then contracted is really mind feeling dull or kind of constricted or like it's really heavy and you're half asleep or something. Yeah. And then there is what one of the scholar monks calls the higher states of mind to be aware of. The great mind or the confined mind, the unsurpassable mind and the surpassable, the concentrated mind or collected mind and the uncollected mind, and then the liberated mind and the unliberated mind. Put those into our consciousness, into our, at least into our conceptual mind anyway, to begin to distinguish them. There are some states of mind which are very worldly and they can pull the mind down, distract the mind, like lust, aversion, delusion. Delusion could be a reaction, is an expression of it is confusion. Delusion is confusion. And just not knowing. But by the development of mindfulness, ideally by this stage, we've been able to just observe these states of mind. And this is quite a profound exercise actually. Most people, as I mentioned before, we observe something, we're aware of something, then we're spun off into all the discussions about it, analyzing it, figuring it out, what to do with it. And the Buddha is saying with this mindfulness, just observe it. An objective, kind of dispassionate observation. Just see what's going on there first. And one of the first things one realizes by observing the states of mind is how changeable these are. How insubstantial they really are. If you notice something like, say, anger, people notice something like anger rise, and then what's the reaction to it? Most people get angry with their anger, right? Anger is not very pleasant because anger, you're angry, then the body secretes adrenaline, which is a very unpleasant drug. So you react to the adrenaline. So you get angry at the anger, and you just get more and more angry. But if you can just observe it, and they've done research and they've found that people who can practice this exercise, when they observe the anger, say the first time, if they have enough strong enough mindfulness, then if there is a secretion of adrenaline, but it takes 90 seconds for that adrenaline to wash through your bloodstream. If you can be mindful for 90 seconds, then there's no reaction to it, no more anger to the anger, so that the adrenaline gets flushed out and the anger can drop. You don't get into this feedback loop, negative feedback loop, anger after anger after anger after anger. It just arises, passes away. Easy to say. It's all part of the practice. So it's a very profound psychological truth here, when you can just observe these states of mind and not get caught into reacting to them. Then eventually, they arise, of course, but they also pass away then. Yeah. But if you react to them, what we're doing is we're confirming it. We confirm it as something, and we fight with it. When actually it is just a passing process, just a passing breeze. And that's what it is in reality. Just what's a state of mind? Can you show us your state of mind? What color is it? How heavy is it? What shape is it? Just a passing process. It's just like the breath. The breathing process. There is no breath itself. There's breathing process. Air going in, air going out, air going in, air going out. Where can you say where is the breathing? It's in the movement. Same as the states of mind. States of mind are the activity of mental phenomena. It's a movement. There's no thing there at all. It's just movement. It's just neurons firing, if you like. And once they finish firing, that's it. What's left? What's left after a neuron's fired? Nothing. Blank. Maybe you burned out a few neurons in the meantime, but and then if you observe the states of mind, besides these so-called 16, you say they're just kind of a general overview of the possibilities of different states of mind. If you observe them over some period of time, you may begin to notice that certain patterns emerge. Patterns. So the Buddha recognized some of these patterns were helpful, supportive of spiritual practice. Some of them were more hindrances. So the Buddha grouped them under these categories. There's the hindrances, 5 hindrances. He chose 5 in particular. And then there are 7 factors of awakening, 7 positive states of mind where the Buddha encouraged us to develop there. So the 5 hindrances, these are, I would say, why there's only 5. I mean, it's a very easy number to remember. I look at it in more detail. I find just 5,000 hindrances, but 50,000, 50 million. But if you just look at the general patterns, there's sensual desire is reaching out, aversion is pushing away. You can say that the sleepiness and lethargy is a kind of a collapse. Restlessness and worry is kind of distractedness and is too much, mind's spun out with too much energy and distracted. Then doubt is sort of like paralysis. I don't know what to do. Just confused and don't know any direction. Doubt. And then, of course, each person has a different way of expressing those. For example, anger, there are some people who, their anger, for example, they're very quick to anger, they just explode and then fizzle out very easily. Others, their anger kind of bubbles along, just kind of bubbles around in the background and endures for a long time. But, different people have different expressions by their personality, if you like. At different times of the practice, we have different kinds of anger too. I mean, maybe in the beginning, some of our anger we have most people have a lot of unprocessed aversion. We don't process it very well. I mean, like just when you're live in a society and you're given social guidance, one of the first rules is don't be angry. Say, yeah, but I am. But don't show it. Don't don't express it. But I am angry. What do I do with it? Shut up. So what do we do? Most of us are sitting on a lot of unprocessed anger here. So when you start to bring awareness to it, maybe in the beginning, some of it just kind of erupts. But hopefully one is living in a very peaceful place like a monastery, and one has developed mindfulness of breathing to calm the mind, and so it doesn't erupt too much and too far. It doesn't reach all the way to Sydney, just the Wiseman's Ferry. And if it does erupt, then better to go into the forest and not come to the kitchen. I've gone for long walks in the forest in different monasteries. It's a good place for the anger temperament. Just go and walk it off. Or they sometimes, they do say, and sometimes they say, if you get angry, just go for a walk around the block, right? Take a deep breath, go for a walk around the block, before you respond to it. Don't respond when you're in the middle of the eruption. You lay some lava down, and the lava, when it hardens, is very hard to get rid of. So the way to deal with this, the Buddha gave many skillful means how to deal with these different 5 hindrances. Just in general, he said that the best way to do it is develop the factors of awakening. So developing the factors of awakening, as you see on there, I put the factors on there: mindfulness, investigation of Dhamma, energy, then joy, tranquility, collectedness, equanimity. Yeah. Those factors are very positive ones, so they will help. Just developing collectedness, for example. When you observe some of these hindrances, for example, the more volatile ones like greed and aversion, restlessness, then if your mind is well established in collectedness, you contain that energy. It's calmed down to some degree. Other ones like sleepiness, lethargy, and maybe doubt. Well, sleepiness and lethargy anyway. Then development of energy is helpful. And doubt, investigation of Dhamma, to investigate what doubt is, what the confusion is, what the uncertainty is, to investigate it. Investigation of Dhammas, then. To bring some awareness into it, some wisdom, some clarity into it. What is the doubt? What are you doubting? Most people don't even know what they're doubting. I don't know what I doubt, because I doubt. I doubt that I doubt. And one of my I would say one of my important insights was when I was in Thailand in the early time, and I've been at university, and I even studied Buddhism at university. Came to Thailand, and I was meditating in the forest, and I knew about the Eightfold Path and all this, but when I was meditating, what is dukkha? What is suffering? What is it? It was so it was a bit confusing. I got very, very confused. Is this right energy? Is this right mindfulness? Is this the Eightfold Path? Is it? I was putting it into this kind of concepts, that I learned in university. But the experience was not the same. Just didn't fit into this nice, neat categories, you see. And then I realized what happened was, when I looked at it and I could acknowledge I'm confused, was that I'm confused because here I am trying to put this, kind of very unclear, kind of nebulous experience into a nice, neat, categorical concept. Energy. What's energy? It's not whatever it is. What, a 6-letter word? That's not what it is. Look at your body. Energy. There's all different kinds of energy. There's some kind of, sometimes it's over-energized, sometimes it's under-energized. And so it was, we realized, stop conceptualizing. Just be aware of the experience. This is what energy is. This is what suffering is. It's like this. It's not just how much dukkha, D-U-K-K-H, 5-letter word, 6-letter word. Yeah, it's more than that. It's a 1,000,000-letter word. Some of them are kind of on the swearing side. But the experience was so much different than the concept. That's why I was confused. But when I could just kind of drop the concepts and just be open to the direct experience, then confusion dropped away, and this is the way it is. Just like this. Trying to squeeze it into this narrow concept, you get very confused because it's not. The concepts are only like a sign pointing. They aren't the experience. So. The next categories, I kind of changed the ordering around a little bit because two of them. There's two sets of two here. There's the hindrances and the factors of awakening, your states of mind, and then there is certain particular Buddhist concepts, the 5 groups of grasping and the 6 senses. They aren't even Buddhist, actually. They were already available in India at the time. But the 5 groups of grasping and the 6 senses, these are the 2 main categories that the Buddha said that identification happens in. People identify with one of the 5 groups of grasping, or all of them. Identify with the senses. So become aware of them, and notice. Not only do we notice what these things are, but the Buddha also guides us to remember to also observe the arising of them, how to remove them, the hindrances anyway, remove the hindrances and to prevent the hindrances from arising. And then for the factors of awakening, the arising of the factors of awakening. These factors are in our mind anyway. They're just normal states of mind, but not recognize them as a factor of awakening. Many times we don't cultivate them, we don't develop them. So when you observe how they arise, then make sure you be able to allow them to persist and develop, to develop further. Developing spiritual joy, developing equanimity. I mean, how many of us, we all have equanimity at some time or other. But how many of us recognize it as a factor of awakening? It doesn't really sell, does it? Equanimity? No, you should be excited and happy, happy, happy. Not equanimous. Equanimous doesn't pay. You got to be happy. You got to go buy something and be happy. What do they call it now? They call it retail therapy. Shop till you drop. Then you're really happy. But being equanimous, when you don't have any money, you walk around the shops, near the shops, and no money, equanimous. Can't buy anything anyway. I get excited. Not that they have my fashion anyway. So the groups of grasping, first of all, is to try to be aware of what these are. And there's various definitions. The body, feelings, we've already know something about. Then there's this recognition, sanya. This is like this quality of mind. It tells us what things are, labels things. So it's the what is there, And then there is from that there is thinking, for example. Thinking is the sankhara, and when there's thinking, usually, or craving maybe, then there is some activity there. When one is trying to, one likes it, doesn't like it, one wants it, doesn't want it, And this word sankhara, which is a definition of it in Pali, it has 2 meanings. It is first of all, there is the active part, and then there is the passive part. So when one has, activated, when it was active sometimes, after a while it becomes a habit. Remember what that saying from Emerson? So with thought, reap an action. The action gives a habit. Habit gives a personality. Personality gives a destiny. So the sankhara is both. Some of our reactions are simply just habit. We don't consciously will something. Isn't a conscious act of intention or will. Just an old habit comes up and draws us out. Then there is bare knowing. The usual translation of vijnana is consciousness, but consciousness is so vague, a word in English. But in Buddhism, it's just a bare knowing that there is a sense impression. Just a bare knowing that there is a thought. And then from that bare knowing, then there is feeling, then there is a sanya. There's a thought arises in the mind, and then what is that thought? It's a thought of confusion. Okay, there's sanya. And then I don't like it, I don't want it. There's sankhara. And of course, the 6 senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, 5 physical ones, and the mind. And if you can bring your awareness to them, you can begin to see how, just there's a sight, and there's an eye, physical eye, there's a physical object, then there is contact, and there is a knowing, seeing. And then there's seeing from the seeing, there's feeling, and there's perception of it, recognition, seeing, sunshine. Then, I like it, I want it. Now it's too hot, actually. But the other day when it was raining, sunshine was really important, Now we got too much. So once we're aware of the senses, then the Buddha also says, also be aware of the fetter that arises from that contact. If I didn't see something beautiful, I wouldn't have any interest in it, But because there is a contact, seeing it or hearing a sound, then there is a fetter arises in the sense of, a bond. I like that. I want to keep that. How can I keep that? How does this fetter arise? How to remove it? And how to prevent it from arising in the future. So there's these 2 groups, the hindrances and the factors of awakening. And then there is the groups of grasping and the senses. And be aware of the sense contact. This is very, very fundamental to how our mind reacts. From the senses, I say there is this causal process, the sense reactions. It's all based upon contact. There's no, if the physical organs don't meet the objects, then there's no reaction, no consciousness, no bare knowing. So the Buddha realized this. That's why, like for example, sense restraint is very, very important. Development of meditation. If you close your eyes, you're in a quiet place, you've already had something to eat, and maybe there's a bit of incense burning, and the body is relaxed, and then it's only the mind to deal with. The mind focusing on a meditation object like breathing, very peaceful, very simple, and there's very little sensory contact going on. At least not disruptive or not challenging sensual contact happening. Very, very peaceful. But as soon as the senses start responding to different sensations, now you can see how, sounds, smells, taste, touch. For some people, they just close their eyes and just absorb into meditation and forget the world. Peace. They open their eyes and get a real shock because the world's still there. But if you see how this causal sequence happens, then right, like for example, if you notice there's a very strong physical, visual contact, then you can lower your gaze. For example, you still walk around, but then you narrow the field of observation, and you notice you still maintain some degree of calm. You see. And then the fifth of the Dhammas is the Four Noble Truths. This is a kind of, key to the Buddhist teachings, because it all has to do with how liberation is transcending suffering. So first we have to be aware of what the suffering is, and what causes it, where does it come from. Only by removing the cause can liberation be realized. It's already a very, very profound insight, because for most people, they don't even observe this. They have some suffering. They're fighting with the suffering. And there's one French philosopher. He said, "If you are afraid to suffer, you suffer the fear." So, You can't get away from it. You know? But if you observe the suffering, and find out where it's coming from, then you can uproot it. Yeah. All that suffering has a cause. It comes from some source. Yeah. The suffering itself is just it's just the expression of it. It isn't the real thing. The real thing is the cause. What is the very root of it? Unless we can get to that, we're never going to be able to uproot it, never be able to come liberated. Yeah. So just being able to understand this is a very fundamental principle of Buddhist meditation. It takes the wisdom to realize what is the cause of suffering. It requires the stability of mind, the collectedness and the clarity to observe it. What is this suffering anyway? What's it all about without reacting to it and compounding it. Yeah. You simplify it by trying to look at the cause of it, because there is basically one root cause. And grasping a self. One root cause, grasping a self. Yeah, but I'm so precious, I can't let myself go. Okay, keep suffering. So anyway, as I mentioned, in this discourse the Buddha gave, there are, if you want to look at it, if you're pedantic, look at the details, there's hundreds of meditations there. And, generally speaking, I would say we just start off with the easy ones first. Because the whole point is not just to gather a whole bunch of information, you can say a bit, disjointed information, but to experience it directly. So being able to experience the body directly, or feelings directly, states of mind, if you can really see them as they really are, see how they arise and pass away, we learn the fundamental concepts, the basis of reality. All these things are impermanent, they're unsatisfactory, and they're impersonal. There's causal processes going on. We realize that from any of these openings, you can say. At the same time, of course, it's experience it directly in this body-mind. You can contemplate it abstractly. Yes, of course, everything's impermanent. But then when it comes to me, except me, my pleasant feeling is permanent, isn't it? Yes. But if you really realize your pleasant feeling is impermanent and you have little control over it, wow, that's a shocker. you get dispassionate towards pleasant feeling now. Yeah. Before, your whole life is based on just chasing after pleasant feeling. When you see how unsubstantial it is, how conditioned it is, out of our control really, let it go. Pleasant, unpleasant comes and goes just like the breezes. And you don't pick and choose anymore, and don't react forward or against anymore. So, but one has to see it in one's own experience, because this is the real heart of the matter, is our own experience. Not just to have a concept about it, but see it directly. So anyway, any of these themes we can use as a door to the deathless. One has to develop them and practice them, to the ultimate level. Then, the arising, passing away, and then these qualities, the hindrances, they arise sometimes, and again, another form of suffering, isn't it? The hindrances. But the only way to really deal with them skillfully is to understand them. People think hindrances, get rid of them. But trying to get rid of a hindrance is also a hindrance. Yeah. Trying to get rid of anger is still anger, isn't it? But you understand it, realize there isn't any real ill will there. Just a process of misinformation, wrong way of understanding, another process arising, passing away. So, we have to work with them and through them, basically. And it's very helpful if we have the support of the factors of awakening. These are natural products within us. We all have them, but to cultivate them to a degree which become spiritual powers or real factors of awakening, and not just factors passing by in our life. So there's a lot there to work on. Where the Buddha is giving us these themes to contemplate, to look at again and again and again. And we all have body, feeling, states of mind, but look at them again, investigate them from more deeper clarity, seeing it as it really is. Most of us see these things through a tinted vision. You know, we just see what we want to see. We see what we'd like to see. We want to see the way things are according to my perception of things, to preserve my ego about it. But when you really see how they really are, your ego is out of the picture, and it's very humbling, but liberating too. So, what's our preference? Liberation or suffering? Simple. So I think I should pause there. Leave time for questions. Should have put the microphone in the front there. It's a bit faint. So, any questions?
Could you please kind of go into a bit more detail about the differences between tranquility, collectedness, and equanimity? Because to me, they all seem to sound quite similar in that it's kind of like a standing back and inner peace, a letting kind of things wash over you without reacting to them, like a non-reactivity. You just explain the difference, I guess.
Difference. Well, let's see. Well, collectedness is more. Your mind is focused on an object. Yep. And equanimity is more like a feeling tone of it. I mean, there's different kinds of. From the collectedness, there is in the next, what do you call the samadhi, right? Collectedness. The Buddha explains it in stages. You know, in the early stages of collectedness, the mind is quite excited and joyful. Joy is there first. Equanimity is the last stage of the development of collectedness. Yeah. And then in the process, I mean, the different stages of collectedness also, tranquility can recognize at a deeper level. Maybe the first level is very superficial. You know, just your normal state of mind is a bit calmer. But then, if you develop it further, then this tranquility becomes, you know, the body gets tranquilized, the mind gets more tranquilized, and it goes into much more deeper levels. So it's like a refinement of those qualities. Yeah. But they all are linked. They're all interrelated. You know, when you develop collectedness, then it also includes other qualities too. That's why I prefer to use the word for translation of samadhi as collectedness rather than concentration. You know, because it is a certain, you know, it is collectedness, like concentration, only one factor of collectedness. They call it ekagata, one-pointedness. But there is joy, piti sukha, you know, and there's other qualities there too. You know, equanimity eventually too. And this focused attention is only one quality, concentration, you see, yeah, of it. But they all kind of work together, and mindfulness as well. You know, you need mindfulness to be aware and not mindful of what these qualities are, what the level is. If they get imbalanced sometimes, like too much collectedness without enough energy, the mind becomes really, really dull and listless and lethargic. And some people, they mistake that for collectedness. And they're just dull and sleepy. But peaceful, so peaceful. Yeah. Ajahn Chah would probably say it's the tranquility of a water buffalo. You know, there's no energy in it. It's not energized. It's not clear. It's just dull and sleepy, and you think, so tranquil, so peaceful. We call it being blissed out, you see. But many times it's just a state of sensory deprivation. You know, not a lot of energy in it. You know. By getting a balance between energy and collectedness, you know, It would be then it kind of these different qualities all balance each other out. You know, it's not just overdoing one of them against the other ones. You see, that's why it is. The Eightfold Path. 8 factors need to come together. All the 8 factors, all 8 parts of it, come together before it becomes the path.
If we have the suffering, we must to know how they come from.
We have what?
The suffering, but how
Yeah.
the suffering come from.
Yeah.
And we must to know about our mind suffering, the start suffering, and if we come back in the mind, maybe the suffering stop.
Maybe. Yeah. If it doesn't, what do you do?
The first time I must to know where they come from, and the second time maybe I know how why I suffering. Suffering, how suffering.
Yeah.
Stronger or softer. So
Yep.
maybe we know like that, the suffering stop.
Yep. Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just recognize, like if you're, thinking about the past, for example,
Yeah, the past.
but when you realize the past is gone,
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah.
Why am
Because
I suffering about the
already
past?
thinking-
It's already finished.
We thinking past.
Yeah. You
Some,
can't change it.
Some happen in
Yep.
the past.
Yep. But so you can just kind of, when you realize that, you have that insight, and then don't bother worrying about it.
Yeah.
But maybe there still is some
if,
kind of...
If we worry about that look like the tap.
Yes, yeah.
Come back.
Yeah.
So many times.
Yeah. But maybe there still is sort of a residue continues,
Yeah, you can.
like in the body, for example, Yeah. But you just have to be with it, be patient, and not react to it, And eventually, maybe your mind then does really acknowledge it very deeply.
Yeah.
You let go that that is the past. That is the past. That is the past.
Sometimes we angry something, but in the past
Yes.
already, but we remember again, and we angry again.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like that.
Yep.
No problem.
But what can be valuable though is that there can be a lesson in what you remember from the past.
Yeah.
What's the main
We want to
message
learn
behind
the
it?
lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
What did I do wrong, or what was what was the attitude behind it?
Yeah.
So perhaps sometimes then not the reacting to it, but opening to it. What's this teaching me? What's the lesson in here? What's it saying? And then if you go to the body, the body still preserves a memory, but the memory is sometimes much more clearer than just your interpretation of it. You see.
Yeah. But the feeling all the time, if we have a lot of feeling from the past or the future, we worry a lot.
Yes.
Then not for nothing.
No. It's a hindrance then. A hindrance, then you can't get beyond it, and your mind isn't able to develop enough collectedness and clarity to see through it, see beyond it.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with that first. It's like clearing the clouds away a bit, clearing the dirt away, Yeah. So by bringing your mind to the present moment, you notice, your mind's gone in the past now, back to the breathing in the present moment.
Yeah.
Breathing now.
Back in the moment.
Yes, yep.
If the mind go the past
Yep.
and go the future.
Future,
We take back in the moment.
back in the moment, yes. Yep. Mhm. Yep. And you do that directly by being aware of the breathing in the moment, in the present moment. Eh?
Yeah. Because we meditation,
Yeah.
we
If you really are aware of breathing, it only happens
see-
right now. Is it?
We see right now.
Yes, yeah. It's not a matter of pushing it away or trying to ignore it,
Yeah.
but just
Sometimes
come
we
back to
want
the present. Come back to the present, and then
move away.
if you don't give it energy, those thoughts kind of fade away. Then you see, you give them energy by thinking about them. You see, by worrying about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasting your brain cells.
Yeah. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. You can't change it.
I have a question around feeling and feeling tone. I brought this up recently with another teacher, but I wasn't quite satisfied with the answer. So I've had an experience repeatedly in recent times where I feel like around sort of this area, I can feel like pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, like aversion or craving, and it just kind of doing its own thing, like it's not attached to the subject. And it moves quite quickly, and so it's almost like feeling like bipolar or something, like going, oh my god, I'm on this roller coaster, and I'm not really quite sure what to do with it. Like I can't say it's come from like a happening, it's just there, just rolling on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Could you speak to that?
I mean, the usual temptation is when we come across these things, we want to figure them out. We want to find the answer. Yeah. But then you just go into your head, you see. So you aren't anymore with the direct experience anymore. You need to let the experience talk to you, basically. So you just have to kind of step back and be more objective about it. Rather than go into your mind and say, what does this mean? What's the meaning of this? Yeah. We just have to be aware of, okay, that's what's happening right now. And I don't know what it is, theoretically I don't know, but I can be aware of what that symptom is, what that experience is right now. And basically we, as we're, developing more awareness of our body and mind, basically we come across all kinds of strange things because we've been putting most of our experiences into these nice, neat categories, you see. And anything doesn't fit, we just kind of ignore. But now with just being aware more objectively, it comes out of those boxes, and then many strange things happen, physically and mentally, and and sometimes if you look at it more clearly and objectively, you might get an answer sometimes, a label or something, but other times maybe not. Don't know what it is. I had this experience in Thailand, which was, I used to get these faces coming up in meditation. And so I asked one teacher, and he said he was supposed to be a samadhi expert, about a very strong samadhi concentration practice. And so he said, "Oh, you're picking up the consciousness of all the dead soldiers." He said around this area in North Thailand, they had a battle. The British and the Japanese or something had a big fight there. There's all these dead bodies there. He said, "You're picking up the consciousness of all dead soldiers." I don't want to do that, But he's a master, meditation master, so he should know. So I contemplated it, but I don't think he's right, because they weren't just soldier-aged men. There was women, there was old people, young people, children, all kinds of faces. So anyway, I didn't quite accept what he said. Then I asked Ajahn Chah what it meant, and he said, "Don't go there." He said, basically, he said, just be aware of it. Don't try and figure it out. You try and figure it out. Maybe some people, they think, "Oh, I'm seeing visions of my ancestors or something, or I'm seeing visions of something brother, and then you get really inflated." So just be aware of that. Just pictures, and then it allowed me just to step back a little bit and just be aware of it and not be bothered by it, so to speak. And then it was just they come up and they for a while, and then suddenly I had this insight where it came from, because I was more objective now. See, when you something strange happens like this, then you confirm it. You're right next to it, and you want to figure it out, and it's part of you. But it actually is just another impersonal phenomena. So I don't know where it came from. But I mean, eventually I knew what that was. I mean, I just remembered that I've been traveling a lot, and somehow I got my brain took pictures of people's faces, all over the world, just so I could recognize people, you see. And then when I was meditating, these pictures came back again, you see. It's stored in the brain, so it came back again. All over the world, and young people and old people, and And so when I could recognize that, I just stopped taking pictures, and it stopped.
I guess like that makes sense. I guess maybe it's kind of a modern psychology influence how I'm feeling about this thing or relating to it. Like thinking, should I be applying antidotes to all these micro little things, or do I just watch it roll on? And because aversion, well, we're supposed to be, applying factors and antidotes and things on a daily.
Yep.
But in that moment, just watch it.
Yeah. I mean, if it comes on, repeatedly over and over again, I mean, the best idea, the best approach is just to observe it. Go back again and again and again, perhaps applying some, not really, well, I don't call them antidotes, but I call them kind of supportive means, you see. Like if a lot of aversion comes up, sometimes you just can't see through it. But if you bring up some metta, some friendliness, it gives us a little bit of space there, because rather than the mind just locking into the old habit of always aversion, now you bring in another, support. It's like bringing an extra tool in. And it's not an antidote. Like some people, they use metta to antidote the aversion. They use metta to kill the aversion. That doesn't work. That's not how you should do it. No. But it just provides a little different, energetic to our usual being. You get locked into these old habits of always reacting with aversion. You get aversion to the aversion, and just can't break out of it. You bring in some metta, some friendliness, suddenly it just shifts the whole perspective. Gives you a bit more space in your mind to what's really going on here anyway, and what's really happening here.
Delusion, then. How would one tackle that? I mean,
well, the opposite of delusion is wisdom, right? So
there's nothing we can bring other than just our mindfulness.
Well, I mean, you have to understand what kind of doubt it is, or delusion. How does delusion manifest in your mind? Like I said, that the first time it was confusion. Just be really confused. Yeah. Then okay, I can realize where that particular type of delusion came from. Then there was different kinds of delusion happened later. Not uncertainty. What was that? What was the Buddha say about that again? So then I began to study the Buddha's teachings in the Pali Canon, the word of the Buddha himself. Like reading people's interpretation of it. Just it was always even more cloudy. But reading the Buddha's words himself, suddenly became really clear. Sometimes it's a bit hard to understand because it's in that very stilted language of the Pali Canon. But then, but there's these kind of really sharp, kind of poignant points of wisdom, like this way, So it became really much more clear how to use it. And the Buddha was just using, different psychological approaches, you can say, how to understand your own mind. Like he was trying to give us different points of view, you see. So then you can begin to, like just being aware of what the delusion is. Is it doubt? Is it confusion? Uncertainty? Is it insecurity from not knowing? Is it? There's just all kinds of different expressions of it. Just these three things: greed, aversion, delusion. You can put all of our emotions in those three. All the kind of permutations fit in those three. So study your delusion. That's how you. When you know your delusion, you're no longer deluded.
How does mindfulness of breathing bring about wisdom?
Well, there's I'll cover it probably next time, but there's two ways to look at the breathing. Basically, you can use the breathing as a focus for attention, which would increase the collectedness, or you can study the breathing, observing it as arising, passing away, arising, passing away. Yeah. And you can see, you begin to notice that, if you observe over a period of time, you begin to notice that the breathing changes with the condition of the body, changes with the condition of the mind. And sometimes you can read your emotions in your breathing. Yeah. Yeah. You do that. Notice different kinds of breathing happens, and then observe your state of mind. And when the mind feels like it feels kind of expansive, notice the breathing is deep and relaxed. Or if you notice maybe there's strong emotions arising, so you through the breathing you can study your mind and your body. And then you begin to notice. It becomes more clear to you how impermanent these things are. The breath is arising, passing away. There is no thing there called breath. You can't hold one breath for your whole life. You got to keep changing it. You see, it's breathing. It's a verb. It's always in movement. You see. Yeah. Then hey, the whole body's breathing. The whole body's moving. The whole body is a process. There is no me body here. It's all chemical processes going on. Yeah. And then it's not. How the breathing changes according to different conditions. Even I don't even plan it that way, But the breathing changes according to the weather, according to what I've eaten, what I'm thinking. Yeah, the breath is not me. Yeah. The breath is not me. This body's not me. I mean, it sounds kind of absurd, doesn't it? This body's not me, right? But we're wise meditators, right? We know what this means, right? You've got to be careful who I say that to. This body's not yours. Oh, what do you mean? This is definitely my body. Ouch, ouch. No. But you begin. It dawns on you. It dawns at an inner level, direct experience. So you see it over and over again, and then, right, a different way of understanding reality then, which is more in harmony with the way things really are. Yeah. It's called samatha vipassana, you can say. Yeah. Calm and insight meditation. Yeah. So I say next time it'll be sama samadhi, right collectedness. So I explain about how samadhi and vipassana work together. Yeah. If you'll be here. Are you going to be here?
Yeah, I will be.
Next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh. You got to stay now. Can't miss the encore. So, all good? Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I understand some.
Yeah. I understand some. Yeah. Me too. I understand a little bit too. Yeah.
Because some word I don't understand. But if Luang Por say whole thing, I catch up. That's okay.
Yeah. You can study this for your whole life,
Yeah. Study.
Yeah. There's a lot of material there. It's a textbook.
Yeah.
A textbook.
But something Luang Por say I learning in Vietnamese monk before.
Yeah. Oh,
That's why.
okay. I'm not totally wrong.
No. I thinking when Long for and the monk in Vietnam and Long for pick something talk the Dharma talk rồi I catch up look like it's
Similar. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know I'm not alone.
Look like it's right.
Okay. So, I guess what, 6 o'clock again? 6 to 8 again up there. Back to the and tomorrow is 6:30.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna? You want to have normal puja, but you need how long? You need to make the picnic. How long? 1 hour.
Yeah, maybe 1
So-
hour.
So maybe if we just have the puja till 5:30, yeah.
What are you doing?
Em ở đây 4 giờ. Đi á hả? 9 giờ, 8 giờ. Yeah.
So 5:30 puja. I mean 4 to 5:30, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Then they people are gonna help make the picnic. Then 6:30 we have it ready.
Maybe this afternoon I organize for the congee for tomorrow.
Ooh.
Congee, but healthy congee only pumpkin. No.
No, don't tell us the recipe. No. It's nearly supper time, you know.
No, the congee easy to cook.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Only the veggie, not.
Yeah. You can keep it simple, you know.
Simple.
Yeah. The picnic.